Gary, your reflections on a bit of a disappointing defeat there?
Yeah, I'd say so. I don't think the defeat's necessarily the issue. I think more disappointing performance. We had a lot of the ball, moved the ball too slowly for my liking at times. I think it's like anything. If a team's going to let you have the ball, you're going to have to move it and really stretch them and test them. And too many times we moved it slowly. We didn't really get enough penetrating runs in behind or passes in behind. When we did pass it, I felt our quality was poor. And I think the overall feeling of it was that most of the players were poor today, which in some ways gives me probably more solace than 4 or 5 being poor, because it probably shows that some of the work that we're doing in terms of training and making the legs heavy and perhaps stopping them from feeling quite as sharp at the minute. So, we're mindful of that. But I thought Hibs were brighter than us, particularly in the final third. Created better chances than us and took the goal really well. It's a poor goal from our perspective, but we got into some really good positions and just didn't, weren't ruthless enough. We have another touch or we have another pass or whatever it is, and sometimes you really just want someone to pull the trigger, and that's probably been symptomatic of quite a few of the pre-season games so far. But that's what it's for. That's why it's pre-season. I've been in teams, like I said before, that have won every game pre-season, had a poor start. I've been in teams where I've been tearing my hair out with about a week left, not enough players, not enough wins, and we start the season really, really well. So I think you've always got to be a little bit reflective of the games and certainly use poor performances like that to work out what we need to do better and what type of players we need. Bit disappointing for the fans' behalf, because a lot of them came, and I'm sure we're looking forward to a really good weekend. Hopefully they took in the sights of Edinburgh and haven't let the game dampen the spirits too much.
You mentioned the players looked a little bit leggy. Was that a concern, or was it just as symptomatic of the hard work that you have put into this point?
Well, we put a lot. I'm the last person to make any excuses, because we weren't good enough, and I've told the players that pure and simple. And until we are good enough in the games, then we have to keep working. But I think, there's a number of factors. We've travelled up on the train, 4 hours, 4.25 hours on a train. The smoke alarms went off in the hotel last night. We all had to stand on the street for 45 minutes at 3 o'clock in the morning, which I'm sure probably didn't help. But again, you've got to navigate things like that. If it happens in a league game, you've got to get on with it, haven't you? So, but I think the fact that they were all looked a little bit leggy and everybody's passing looked a bit sloppy and we didn't move quick enough off the ball would at least give me hope that it was a general fatigue from the training. But we're getting to the point now where we have to start to see better performances, start to see sharper performances. I was hoping we'd get that today. But we move on, and let's see if we can get one of those Wednesday.
And as we all know, you're working very hard to try and get a couple of new bodies through the door. How's things emerging on that front?
Yeah, again, I'll make no bones about it. A lot of the targets we've got are very, very good players that are not easy to get those players or do those deals financially. So I'd still rather target those type of players at the minute than settle for some of the ones that we could probably get, but maybe not quite the quality we need. So, of course, at some point you have to adjust those sights if you can't acquire the targets. But we've got about four offers, bids, whatever you want in at the moment, and a lot of it's a patience game. Once again, you look at 4 or 5 of the clubs in this division and probably more, all waiting to sign a striker, all waiting for a bit of movement. And I think you'll see when one striker moves, there'll be quite a lot of other movement. So. And again, I'll reiterate, John Terrell joined us a week before the start of the season last year. He joined, I think, the day before the Leicester game and was our best player. So we've got another week until we get to that point. Of course, I don't want it to drag on that long, but we know which players we want, and until we're completely out of the race for those, will we shift our mindset and shift our targets.